Hello, guys and gals, and welcome. Welcome. So, today we're going to be talking about the release of the Diablo IV Paladin. Yes, the Paladin is finally in Diablo IV. There is a Paladin skill tree, there's Paladin skills, and except none of them are Paladin skills. I'm going to start this video by reading off a definition of false advertising. False advertising is any untrue or misleading statement, visual or omission in an ad that deceives customers about a product's price, quality, purpose, influencing their buying decisions, with common forms including bait and switch, deceptive pricings, unsubstantiated claims about features or benefits, and legally it is prohibited by bodies of the Federal Trade Commission of the FTC, requiring ads to be truthful and not misleading, and backed by evidence even when using exaggerations and puffery. This character is the most classic definition of false advertising that I have ever seen. Is it a paladin? In name only. They have skills in here that are literally just straight up Diablo 3 skills, renamed as Diablo 2 skills. For instance, this skill right here, which I have an active list of skills for the Diablo III Crusader, if you scroll down the list, you will find a skill called Justice. Justice is hurl a hammer of justice at your enemies. If you look at the Holy Bolt skill, it says throw a holy hammer dealing damage. The Holy Bolt now applies judgment. And the insults go on and on and on. Auras. So, like, one thing that people would ask immediately when thinking about the Paladin is they would say, are there any auras? Does the Paladin have auras? That's what I asked too. And if the Paladin doesn't have auras, well, then it's basically crap. Well, the Paladin has auras. Look at this. It has Fanaticism aura. It has Defiance aura. It has Holy Light aura. Except they don't function like auras. They function more like laws. If you played Diablo III with the Crusader, you would know that the laws on Diablo III Crusader were the most egregiously stupid things that ever existed. And they had an active and a passive component. Okay? Now, this is the most important thing because Diablo II auras do not have active components and passive components. They just simply work. Right? Well, if you look at these auras, they have active and passive components. Passive, spending faith emanates power from you. Active, weaken all nearby enemies for 4 seconds. They are literally laws, not auras. So again, similarly to up here where they have a skill called Holy Bolt, which is obviously not a Holy Bolt. And I'd like to take you outside and actually show you what this Holy Bolt skill looks like, just so you can laugh at how silly it is to call this a Holy Bolt when it is indeed just simply a hammer that you are literally throwing. The auras don't even look like the auras in Diablo 2. They're not even like remotely similar. The Fanaticism aura looks more like resist fire. And the Defiance aura, I don't even know what it looks like. It looks stupid, is what it looks like. And I could go on for days. Almost all of these abilities are literally just Diablo 3 skills renamed as Diablo 2 skills. For instance, Zeal. Super excited to see Zeal. Absolutely super excited to see Zeal. I was like, oh my god, Zeal is in the game? Are you kidding me? I would love to mess around with Zeal. Let's have a look at Zeal for real quick. Does that look like Zeal? No. Have you played Diablo 3? Do you know what that looks like? That is most undoubtedly Slash. That is literally Slash, without a shadow of a doubt. That is Slash. Every single skill on the tree seems to be this way. This is literally Blessed Shield. This is the throwing skill that allows you to throw your shield. It is right here. This is the Diablo 3 Blessed Shield skill, without a doubt. Even the hammers. So you might be like, oh, well, at least it has Blessed Hammer. Ah, but it's not the Blessed Hammer from Diablo 2. It's the Blessed Hammer from Diablo 3. It's the one that allows it to go around you in circles and like follow you around, and how you could like cause it to shatter and turn into like individual pieces and all sorts of other things. This is the Diablo 3 version of Blessed Hammer, not the Diablo 2 version of Blessed Hammer. It has vague similarities to the Diablo 2 version, and it is not the same. This skill right here seems to be completely new, and it's one of the few skills on the character that doesn't have any similarities to Diablo 2 or Diablo 3. This skill right here, I don't even know how to explain this skill. It's absolutely garbage. I can't like explain how it works at all. Like it basically seems to be like some sort of Diablo 3 version of Shield Bash, and it makes me think it's sort of similar to Smite, but it's not quite the same thing. Actually, no, this is the one with Holy Chains, and then there was the Steed Charge. There's Iron Skin. I mean, actually, it kind of functions more like Shield Glare now that I think about it. So Shield Bash seems to function more like Shield Glare, and I wonder if there's an upgrade that makes it blind things. Let's see. Knocking back enemies and stunning them. Shield Bash gives you resolve. Hits counts as a blocks and can trigger once per cast. But no, it's not like Shield Bash from Diablo 2 at all. It doesn't even feel the same. Moving on to the next one. Shield Charge. Shield Charge. I don't know what this skill is. I think it's basically this ability right here. Steed Charge. I think it's this one. Mount a celestial warhorse that allows you to ride through enemies unhindered for 2 seconds. But it's really bad. And when I say really bad, I mean it's really bad. Like you're slow and you just like run around with your shield instead of actually charging. You're just like vaguely running around. You don't actually stop when you hit a monster. So like you just roll right through them and out the other side. There's a cooldown on it too. Now you can turn it into a core skill, but like all it basically is like an ability that makes you run around with your shield in front of you as opposed to actually slamming into the target and dealing massive amounts of damage. You can, of course, grab this upgrade right here, which turns it into a core skill, which takes away the cooldown. But then, even then, it's still just an ability that you run around with like this, and you just hold down the button. It doesn't feel anything like the D2 shield charge at all, because the D2 shield charge has a massive amount of damage when it hits the target, and it tends to knock the target back, and it's a literal, like, solid smack into the target. And you get none of those things when you're using this ability. You basically just run around with your shield in front of you, and that's it. Moving on to the next one, we've got this thing, Rally. I couldn't quite pinpoint exactly what Rally is supposed to be. Let's pull this up on the board real quick. But this one in particular, we're gonna play around with. Now these down here, these are literally D3 skills. Consecration, which is this one in particular, is literally the D3 Consecration. This one does not exist in Diablo 2. They didn't rename it or anything. It's just Consecration from D3. This one right here, Condemn, is literally just the Diablo 3 Condemn ability. It's right there. Diablo 3 Condemn. This one right here, Spear of the Heavens, seems to be a variant of this ability, which is Fist of the Heavens for Diablo 3, which is a different version of Fist of the Heavens than the one we have in Diablo 2. And Spear of the Heavens actually does have an upgrade called Fist of the Heavens, which allows it to pretend to be Fist of the Heavens, but it's not actually Fist of the Heavens. It's like a weird Diablo 3 version of Fist of the Heavens, and I'll show you what it looks like. Instead of firing holy bolts based on the number of monsters that are nearby, it just simply fires 5 holy bolts. It doesn't call them holy bolts, by the way, because that would be silly, because if they were holy bolts, they would be hammers, obviously. And they just fire off 5 holy bolts in random directions. This one is most definitely the D3 version of Fist of the Heavens, which is kind of okay. I'm going to be mildly positive here. It's passable. It doesn't function exactly like the Diablo 2 Fist of the Heavens, but if you're interested in playing a Fist of the Heavens Paladin in Diablo 4, this is the closest thing you're going to get. Let's take a look at Rally real quick. I don't even know what rally is. Like, I can't even explain this ability. It just says rally forth, gaining 20% movement speed and generating faith. Seems to be some sort of like temporary little buff that you place on yourself. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what that is, to be perfectly honest. Haven't really been able to pinpoint that one. This one right here, Falling Star. If you don't know what this one is, I'll show it to you. Does that look familiar? Because that's literally a D3 skill. That is the D3 skill, and I believe it's actually called Falling Star or Falling Sword. It's right here. Launch yourself into heavens and come crashing down onto the enemy and damaging everything within a 14-yard radius. It's literally the Diablo III Falling Sword skill. Moving on to the next one, we have the Arbiter of Justice. So let's talk about Arbiter of Justice. Arbiter of Justice is basically Akarat's champion. Basically, what it lets you do is you are going to like come down and smack into the ground. It's kind of like a combination of Falling Sword, by the way. But if you ever remember Akarat's champion is a 90-second cooldown. Explode with the power of the order, increasing the damage that you do and gaining a huge amount of damage and regeneration and whatnot when you do it. Right. So basically, that's exactly how this ability works. Is you basically come down onto the battlefield, and when you come down on the battlefield, you get 20 seconds of Akarat's champion, or in this particular case, the Arbiter of Justice. And once you become the Arbiter of Justice, you gain fancy wings on your back, and you are now like increasing your damage. The size of your character increases, just like with the original Akarat's champion, except instead of being Akarat's champion, you're now the Arbiter of Justice. But not much has changed about the ability. It's literally the same exact ability from Akarat's champion. You're just bigger, you get extra damage bonus, your appearance changes, and so forth and so on. There are actually upgrades that increase the size that it makes your character grow, so you get even bigger. So you can be like a big giant monster man. Moving on to the next one, we have this one right here, which is Heaven's Fury. Heaven's Fury is actually exactly a D3 skill. It actually is called Heaven's Fury. It's the same exact name. I don't remember if Heaven's Fury was an ultimate ability, but here it is right here. Heaven's Fury, call down furious rays of holy power that deal 1,710 weapon damage over 6 seconds. So let's go ahead and use Heaven's Fury here real quick. It's got a 43-second cooldown, so let's just play around with some other stuff. We gotta use our auras, guys. We can put the active effect of our auras on. Look at this. I can spam my fist of the actually people have been calling it Meteor of the Heavens, because I don't know if you noticed, even though it's called Fist of the Heavens, it doesn't come down as a lightning bolt. It comes down as a like meteor from the sky, and it looks very much like Diablo IV Sorceress Meteor got reskinned as another skill. So it's basically just a Sorceress Meteor skill reskinned as a holy ability. I mean, look at it carefully, like when it comes down, look. It's literally just a meteor. It's like as if they just gave the Paladin meteor, colored it white, and threw some holy bolts coming out of it, and called it Fist of the Heavens. It's not even remotely the same as Fist of the Heavens. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't come down the same. The holy bolts don't shoot the same. The colors aren't the same colors. It doesn't shoot the right number of holy bolts in correspondence to the number of monsters around it. It always shoots bolts even if there's no monsters around it, which holy bolt never does. Like, just doesn't look anything like the ability at all. Heaven's Fury. So Heaven's Fury is this ability that was in Diablo 3 that basically just brought down like a kind of like a beam, and the beams would just like stay there and just like cook the monsters, just like massive amounts of damage. You can also split the beams into multiple, so like I chose the one where they split. So let's go to the one where it's like one big beam. Or you know what, let's do the 5 orbiting beams. That sounds like fun. We'll do the 5 orbiting beams. Alright, here we go. You ready? 5 orbiting beams. Now you might be asking a question, like, what about the other skills? What about the other auras? Are there only 2 auras in the game? Oh, they have other auras in the game. They have them as, like, incidentals, like upgrades that allow you to add effectiveness onto an existing aura, or rather law, that turns them into like another aura. So like for instance, you might be wondering about thorns or conviction or might or, you know, like redemption or any of those other really good auras that the paladin had, right? Well, they're there, sort of ish. If you look on the Defiance ability and you go outward to some of the upgrades, you'll notice Rite of Thorns, which gives Defiance an ability which enhances your Thorns. So there's your Thorns aura right there. They also have Rite of Prayer, which gives the Defiance ability a small regeneration effect and also grants allies in your range like resolve stacks. There's your Prayer aura. Right here is the Might aura. Defiance aura increases your damage by 10% times for 4 seconds whenever you gain Resolve. What about Redemption? There's Redemption right there. Weakened enemies who die within Fanaticism aura heal you for 0.5% and fortify your life for 1%, your maximum. Then there's a couple of them that I don't know about, like Rite of Humility. I don't know exactly what that's supposed to be. Rite of Vengeance doesn't seem to follow along with anything vengeance related in Diablo 2, but vengeance is a word that exists in the Diablo 2 Paladin. In fact, that seems to be the case across the board, is that while they were more than happy to utilize the words of the Paladin from Diablo 2, they were completely incapable of actually copying any of the effects or how they function. Like, for instance, they use the word Holy Bolt, but it's not a Holy Bolt. They use the word Zeal, but it's not a Zeal effect. They were more unwilling to use the word Shield Bash and Shield Charge, even though they function nothing like Shield Bash and Shield Charge. The Fanaticism aura might be the closest one that actually gives you what the Fanaticism aura normally gives, which is Fanaticism aura's passive also gives you, 10% maximum resource. Actually, I never did that. But it gives you 7% increased attack speed and 2.8% critical strike chance. I guess the one thing it did give you is attack speed, which is exactly what Fanaticism gives. But Fanaticism always traditionally gave damage as well. But instead of giving damage, they gave critical strike chance and critical strike damage. Some of the abilities have the names, like the nostalgia names. Like there's even a couple weird passives in here, which kind of make you think of like Diablo 2. There's shields, obviously. There's even a Herald of Zakarum unique item. I've already seen the Herald of Zakarum unique item. I was looking at some of the like the uniques earlier. Yeah, let me pull up the uniques for you real quick because I actually have a list of all the uniques. But oh, that's not it. Of course, I can't pull it up immediately. There we go. Okay. So this is the list of the uniques that are available for the Paladin. It is right here. Bink. There's a couple unique items in the game that change the way that certain abilities work. Like, for instance, there's one that makes Brandish unleash in all directions. There's one that makes Heaven's Fury gain 3 additional rays. A lot of these are very similar to Diablo 3 unique items that changed them in specific ways. There's a Herald of Zakarum shield in here. Like I said, they're more than happy to use the names of stuff, but they don't actually like function the same as the previous versions at all. Like, they're not Diablo 2 related. And if it was the case that you wanted to make a Crusader in Diablo 4, then you should have just called it a Crusader. Like, this character is probably about, like, if I had to rank it in terms of like the percentage that is Diablo 2 and the percentage that is Crusader, I would say it is 96% Crusader, 2% Paladin, and 2% something else that doesn't have anything to do with Crusader or Paladin. This is about a 2% Paladin class. Like, almost none of these abilities correlate to anything on the Paladin. They almost all, like 96% of these abilities, all are just Diablo 3 clone abilities that work exactly the same as the Crusader. and they don't function anything like their Diablo 2 counterparts. If you go into this character and you expect a Diablo 2 Paladin, you will be sorely disappointed. If you go into this character and you expect a Diablo 3 Crusader, you will be absolutely thrilled and you'll be rubbing your nipples on camera because of how excited you are, because this is literally the Diablo 3 Crusader. But the thing that bothers me is why go through the process of trying to hoodwink people with false advertising by saying that it's a paladin, by renaming the skills as paladin skills, but making zero effort to actually make any of the skills into paladin versions of those skills. There are literally no skills on this character that correlate to the Diablo 2 paladin. Zero, zilch, nada. It's embarrassing that they would even call this a paladin, and that is the truth. There's nothing else that you can say about it. It is literally not a fucking paladin. Now, I don't know exactly what else to say here. If you like the Crusader and you really wanted a Holy X Paladin character, like a Holy Paladin with a shield or a Crusader with a shield, and you just wanted a cool character to play in Diablo 4, it seems okay. It's not great. Playing it, I tried out pretty much all of the abilities, and I gotta tell you, none of them felt fun to play. I tried out Zeal, and it didn't feel very amazing. It kind of felt boring and slow. The Blessed Shield toss, the Captain America stuff, just doesn't feel good. It didn't feel good in Diablo 3, although I know there were some people that enjoyed the shield toss in Diablo 3, but I didn't enjoy it in Diablo 3 in the first place, and it's literally the same exact shield toss from Diablo 3, just moved into Diablo 4. It's still just as boring as it always was. The shield bash ability feels absolutely terrible, and I don't know why anybody would even use this ability, because it sucks. Now, granted, there could be some unique items in the future or some specific thing that upgrades it in a certain way that makes the ability like fun to play with. But like a lot of these abilities, as I went through them, like the Clash ability, the Advance ability, the Brandish ability, the Zeal ability, the Blessed Shield ability, the Divine Lance, the Shield Bash ability, the Shield Charge ability, the like Falling Star, the Rally, the Aegis, like as I went through each one of the abilities and I played with them, they all felt awful to use. Like, it's not even just enough that the character doesn't feel like the Diablo 2 Paladin, because I can forgive that. I played a lot of Diablo 3. I played the Crusader back in Diablo 3, and I had fun with it. I didn't like Diablo 3 as a game, but the Crusader itself wasn't the worst thing in the world, and there were builds that I enjoyed. One of the builds that I really enjoyed was the Justice build. I played a lot of Justice. I had like an entire build with Justice where you throw the hammer, and then when the hammer hit the target, it would cause a blessed hammer to spin around the target that you hit when you threw the Justice hammer at them. And you could like spam Justice hammers, which would cause the blessed hammers to spam over there. And I made builds that work. And the Justice ability, this Holy Bolt, is like the only one that's even close to like a good ability that I had fun using. I went through every single one of these abilities, like line by line, tried them all, and the only one that I found that was actually worth using as an actual damage ability that felt satisfying to use and was fun was Fist of the Heavens. And only this upgrade of Spear of the Heavens. The Spear of the Heavens ability sucked too, and the Fist of the Heavens was the only part of this ability that I actually enjoyed using. Other than this one, this ultimate was pretty fun to use. The Fortress ultimate. It was kind of cool. The Arbiter is neat, but it's pretty much just a buff for your character. You land on the battlefield and then you grow wings and you get increased movement speed and you basically become like a super god monster. But like, it's not an actual ability, it's a buff for your character that makes you stronger. So you're not actually doing anything other than just buffing yourself once every 104.46 seconds. So you get this 20-second buff every like 2 minutes basically, and those 20 seconds you feel like a god, and then when it wears off, you suck. The Fortress ability doesn't have anything. There's no comparison to it at all. It's not a D2 ability. It's not a D3 ability. I don't know where it came from. It's really cool. It's probably one of the coolest abilities on this tree, but it's an ultimate that you can't really use very often. You basically are using it to plant kind of like a fortress in place. And when you plant the fortress, you get the ability to gain like damage reduction, like increased block chance, like crazy things like that. And you also have the ability to get infinite mana or infinite faith essentially when you have it active. You can also replace it whenever you want to as well, which is really cool. So if you use it, for instance, right here, and you build your fortress, and you were to leave your fortress and come over here and start fighting, you can recast your fortress and replant your fortress in a new location. The fortress ability itself has been one of the more fun abilities on this character, but it's one of the abilities that you literally just place and that's it. Like you place it, you get the effect of it, you can move it around as necessary. It gives you the ability to spam your actual attacks, which cost huge amounts of faith, and you burn through like ridiculously fast. And it is almost definitely the Diablo III Crusader in that way as well, which is the Diablo III Crusader was designed for you to build and spend. And it's very much so a build and spender. And all of the abilities feel that way. Like you try to use any of the abilities and they burn so much faith so fast that you literally just end up constantly spamming your basic skills instead of spamming the skills that are actually doing damage. And then on top of that, like this ability is the only ability on the tree that basically gives you infinite mana during its duration. So if you're using this, you get this really cool ability where you can basically just cast whatever you want. It says while inside your fortress, you get free to cast. Your skills are free to cast, and you gain 4% times damage per stack of resolve, which means that whenever you're out there and you're fighting things and you're constantly running out of faith and you can't do any damage because you literally can't maintain your faith to cast your abilities, you can always plant this ability and just start spamming, which makes the fortress ability actually really fun to use because it allows you to actually get some use out of your abilities that you can't use on a regular basis. Now, granted, resource costs could be solved by later unique items and aspects from legendaries, and you could eventually find a way to fix your faith problems entirely, which would allow you to spam your abilities. But leveling up the character felt absolutely like a slog because I was constantly having to stop and build resource to spam my abilities. Overall, I just really didn't have a lot of fun with the character. I'm probably going to end up going and playing Path of Exile 2 with the new Druid when the Path of Exile 2 Druid launches in like 10 to 11, 11, 12, 12, 1, 1, 2, 4 hours. Because I don't have any like interest in like to keep playing this character. Like if I wanted a Diablo 3 Crusader, I could go play Diablo 3. The only good thing that I can say about this is that one thing it has shown me is that the Diablo 3 Crusader was better than I thought. Like, I may have misjudged the Diablo 3 Crusader because pulling the Diablo 3 Crusader out of Diablo 3 and plopping it down into Diablo 4 has shown me that the Diablo 3 Crusader was a better character than I had originally judged. But it's still not better than the Diablo 2 Paladin, and it's rather infuriating that this character has absolutely no Diablo 2 characteristics whatsoever. The really sad thing here is that I went into this expecting that it would probably be, you know, like maybe I was thinking like 40-60, like Crusader on the 60 side, and I was thinking like it would be like 40% Paladin. And I was willing to deal with that. I was willing to go, hey, 60% Crusader, I can understand it. Crusader exists in the past. Some people want some Crusader skills, so having about 60% Crusader skills would be great, and about 40% Paladin skills would be pretty cool too. But what we actually got was more along the lines of Paladin 2%, Crusader 98%. Actually, hold on. Crusader 96%, with the remainder being like some skills that are not Crusader or Paladin. Like, that's what we actually ended up with. I don't really know what else to say. If you want to play this Paladin, go ahead. It's $39.99 for the expansion at the cheapest point. If you want to play this Paladin right now, this Crusader Paladin bullcrap character, I think it's false advertising. I think it's what it is. I think they deliberately named this thing a Paladin. They gave it Paladin skills knowing full well that they were not going to actually give it any actual Paladin skills, specifically to hoodwink people into buying the expansion for $39.99 because they know that they were going to want to play the Paladin. And once they got your money, they don't give it back. That's the Ferengi rules of acquisition, by the way. Once you have their money, you never give it back. Anyway, as always, I'd appreciate you guys and gals watching. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe button if you enjoy the content. Blizzard already has my money, so I'd appreciate it if you'd support the channel in some way. And as always, keep watching.